Welcome, Climate Viewers. This is Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News at ClimateViewer.com and ClimateViewer.substack.com. I warned you about this. This was my idea a long time ago, that geoengineering is undetectable, that we don't have a way to catch somebody in the act, and that is a big freaking problem. That is a national security problem. Interestingly enough, now the mainstream media is admitting that, we are building a way to detect geoengineering. So we're going to dig into that. If you're already signed up on my Substack, you can find that at connect.climateviewer.com. Links to all of my things. If you haven't already subscribed, I suggest you do. And you'll see that I've already published the article right here on climateviewer.substack.com. Geoengineering early warning system ? Establishing a baseline of stratospheric aerosols after the fact. What is this after the fact? We're going to get into that and much more in this. I'm not going to read this for you word for word. I don't need to. I mean, bro, I wrote it so you could read it. But in my testimony at the EPA hearing in Washington, D.C. in 2015, I warned that we needed to test the sky and see what chemicals were up there, reflecting sunlight and likely poisoning the rain that falls and the air we breathe. I suggested a solution to bringing transparency to geoengineering and weather modification, weather warfare, would include a global monitoring network to verify atmospheric modifications and aerosols. For those who have not seen this before, it's called the Environmental Modification Accountability Act, NMOD-AA. This is an add-on to the weather warfare ban of 1976, which includes a citizen-powered network. And I did an entire PowerPoint on this. What would that citizen-powered network include? Of course, it would include a government-sponsored monitoring network, but it would also include, making sure the stream is actually working today. Yes, it is. Bravo. It would also include a citizen-powered network of sensors. What kind of sensors? Decentralized, blockchain-powered, in your own backyard sensors. That's what we're looking for here. Because IoT is the thing, and that's what we need to do. We need our own verification system with rain samples, sky cameras, aerosol samples, all of this stuff streamed in real time to a map so that we can quickly see where the poison is, who's geoengineering where, when, and why. That is the point of all of this. Now, the point is to catch the bad guys. Now, I created this originally in 2011, and it was originally called the Clarity Clause, and the name really didn't stick, so I changed it to the NMOD Accountability Act. And it works very simple. Require notice before people modify the weather. Catch bad guys using sensors. No fear. That's you. ClimateViewer.com/NMOD. So if you guys want to read more about that, you can there. But that was originally my idea. And I warned you that geoengineering is legal in the USA and that NOAA is revising their reporting laws to make it easier for persons to admit they are using our skies as an outdoor laboratory. Now, after the Informed Consent Action Network, powered by Dell Bigtree at the Highwire, sued to get information on what our government is up to, the New York Times is claiming that these projects are for our protection, not experimentation. We swear. So over at ICANN, this is at icandecide.org, ICANN obtains evidence showing the government is ramping up geoengineering research. All right. Hold on a second. I got to do a little bit of work here real quick, because you know what? The last thing I need right now is any more bullshit out of you, Darren. So, you know what? I'm just going to like completely remove your ass. You're gonna be gone. Goodbye. Just have a nice day. Dude's literally been raising hell since before the stream started. Like, he's just, even my trolls, I've literally got it on subscriber only mode, and this dude has such a freaking you know what for me that he's just hanging out in chat. You got pwned, bro. Cry more. Yeah, that's why I like got caught in the middle of a sentence, because I'm reading the live stream chat, and I'm like, okay, don't read while you're reading, Jim. You can't make this stuff up. That's me reading the chat while reading the screen. Great job, Jim. The U.S. federal government is considering solar geoengineering, manipulating the amount of sunlight reaching the Earth, as a possible solution to the problem of so-called climate change, despite the potentially deadly risks of such technology. They want to inject chemicals into the stratosphere to reflect sunlight back into space in an effort to cool the Earth. We call them volcanums. You know, them volcanoes. You know, like volcanoes, but plural. We call them volcanums. Shout out to those who know. If you know what a volcanum is, good for you. The program, called SABRE, is operated by the NOAA in collaboration with NASA. According to SABRE's website, researchers are using a NASA WB-57 high-altitude research aircraft to build a, quote, comprehensive database of stratospheric aerosols. Now, why did I say after the fact? Well, the interesting part about this is way back in 2017, this was published on ClimateViewer News, where conspiracy meets reality. Black carbon from aircraft exhaust is destroying ozone, melting poles, and the Indian Space Organization said this: though airborne, black carbon is known to dissipate and settle down in a few months under the influence of rain and wind. It is unlikely to travel upwards of 4 kilometers. However, a group of scientists, including from the Indian Institute of Science and ISRO's Vikram Sarabhi Space Center, say they now have evidence of such particles existing up to 18 kilometers into the stratosphere, and that there are 10,000 black carbon particles every cubic centimeter. For those who don't know what's in that black carbon, given the I'll show you in just a second. Given the shape and location of these particles, they argue it could only derive from emissions of aviation fuel. That the black carbon 18 kilometers in the stratosphere could have only came from jet fuel being burned. And they pose a problem because these black carbon particles can linger long enough to provide a fertile ground for other chemical reactions that can deplete the ozone layer and affect their monsoons. Right here, airplanes may be affecting ozone and monsoons in the Hindu times. Big mad about it, okay? But nobody's really talking about any of that. They're just talking about all of the other stuff. So what's in the black carbon, you say? How about all of these metals? Metals detected in black carbon and jet exhaust. All of the red stuff here, okay? So riddle me this. The NOAA geoengineering detection system that they're putting into place right now is going to do a inventory of how many chemicals are in the stratosphere. After planes, 40 million flights per year over the last couple of years have been polluting the stratosphere with chromium, iron, molybdenum, sodium, calcium, aluminum, vanadium, barium, cobalt, copper, nickel, lead, magnesium, manganese, silicon, titanium, zirconium. And this was published in 2016. Chemical characterization of freshly emitted particulate matter from aircraft exhaust using single particle mass spectrometry. Not something to just like blow off, okay? So they're going to go up there and sniff this out. ICANN even obtained a 2021 contract between NASA and NOAA for the SABRE flight operations, researching the potential injection of material into the stratosphere that could combat global warming. The contract shows the program expanding quickly as agencies increase the original award from $3.9 million to $12.85 million and extended it for 2 years. When producing these documents, NOAA completely redacted 12 pages of the contract because it claims the disclosure of those pages would invade an individual's personal privacy. NOAA did not explain how or whose privacy would outweigh public interest in knowing whether the government is considering deploying stratospheric aerosol injection to intentionally alter our climate. ICANN's legal team will, of course, be suing to lift these redactions, and I'll be there with the popcorn. So you can actually look at these right here from, all this stuff you guys can dig into later on. United States government general terms and conditions, from the Bureau of Physical Service, and they have all the receipts right here. And this is showing 21 through 2024, and then new proposed modification 2021 through 2026. So this is an ongoing program. Now, what's interesting about this is this was published November 27th, 2024. Why is that important? Because the moment they put this information out there, suddenly the New York Times wants to publish the very next day, November 28th, 2024, the day after, and then literally it was updated December 2nd. I would be very curious to go and compare the original publishment on the 28th to what's here currently today. But regardless, we're not going to dig all the way through that. What we're going to basically just talk about is what's the what. So what are they talking about doing here? They're talking about releasing balloons that are going to go up into the stratosphere. These balloons will reach to a height of about 90,000 feet. Okay? And on these balloons, they have different equipment, which will, right here, the device that his team is working on pulls air into an intake tube and scans it with a laser. The aerosols scatter the light, making it possible to record their concentration and size. So these balloons will be carrying instruments, much like a radio sign, but much higher. And they will be, basically relaying this back. And if necessary, and here you can see a guy filling up the balloon right here. And in the very first shot, all the way at the top, you can see the instrument attached to it. And this right here is the world's most sensitive device for detecting sulfur dioxide. Now, to put this all into perspective, and this is the WB-57 SABRE plane that they're using, which can only go up to 60,000 feet. So riddle me this. You have a geoengineering detection system that's based on balloons. The balloons can reach 90,000 feet. They're most focused on sulfur. Obviously, why? Sulfur is the main chemical that geoengineers have talked about since I started researching geoengineering before, 2000. And their focus on sulfur at the highest portions of the stratosphere is because geoengineering, the higher you place that chemical, the longer it will reside, the more sunlight it will block, the cooler it will get. But here's the interesting part about it. What happens when a balloon at 90,000 feet detects a sulfur plume, and then they want to go up and verify it with their plane, but their plane can only go to 60,000 feet? Bro, you're 30,000 feet short of where the balloon was when it detected it. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm going to contact the scientists that are behind this project and try to get an interview with one of them. Maybe they can make it make sense to me. Iranian drone farts. Yeah, the New Jersey drone thing is a pretty big thing right now. Anyway, Willie, you wild, bruh. But over here we can see this is, broken down into two major portions. We have the SABRE, Project SABRE, which is right here, stratospheric aerosol processes and budget and radiative effects, with the SABRE logo they have here. And that's the WB-57 plane that they'll be using to fly up there. The other part, and you can see this is part of NOAA's Earth's Radiation Budget Initiative, right there. And both of these projects are on NOAA's Chemical Sciences Laboratory website. The other one, the balloons, as you can see here, is the balloon with the instrument and a dude who's like, ta-da! I'm saving the world from geoengineering. Oh, that's not a dude, unless his name is Lizzie. Anyway, didn't mean to misgender you. B2 SAP, balloon baseline, B squared, get it? Balloon baseline stratospheric aerosol profiles. So these are radiosonde balloons, but they're for sniffing chemicals in the stratosphere. Now, a couple interesting points about this. I said that, NOAA's legalizing private geoengineering. And of course, that's a little bit of hyperbole. It was already legal. The only difference is that this all coincides. It's very coincidental, don't you think, that the public comment period on changing the weather modification reports for geoengineering ended November 19th. And then by the 27th, ICANN was, getting their FOIA information back, their sued information back. And the very next day, the New York Times is writing about it. Highly coincidental, a little sus, just my personal opinion. So when we come down through this, you can see this is the SABRE project. And on the SABRE planes, these are the instruments that are attached to it. If you actually click on this, you can go and see the sensor payload right here, and it'll show you what each of these are. So for aerosols, they got the AMP aerosol size distribution, the SOAP aerosol extinction and absorption, the SP2 PALMS NG, which is also in the nose cone. Interestingly enough, it is in the nose cone. It says right there, duh. In all of these, so caps, cirrus and coarse mode particle size and number. So that's specifically for flying through cirrus clouds. And we all know hashtag cirrus clouds matter. So I guess they'll be sniffing a bit of those. Radiometers, all this other stuff. And then when you go to the 2022 model, it's different stuff, but you can actually look through their sensors here. And for, interestingly enough, the 2025 one, the picture's missing, the instruments aren't here. Maybe they just haven't made it up yet. I don't know. You let me know, chat. We'll see. We'll see how the page gets updated. And we'll just leave it at that. So these are the planes they plan to use. This is the B squared SAP balloons they're tossing in the air. And excuse me. Mainstream response to ICANN, we're just testing the stratosphere, finally. Despite my claims that the buildup of sun reflecting chemical aerosols has been going on for decades. The New York Times is claiming that a new system of balloons, the SABRE WB-57 planes and Sandia National Laboratory, are working to establish a baseline of sulfur and other aerosols in the stratosphere to monitor for future attempts at geoengineering. How can we establish a baseline after the fact that aviation has been polluting the stratosphere for decades? Period. How can we? It's like, I guess the definition of baseline is the new normal, and anything more would be geoengineering. Nice try. You cannot make this stuff up. You literally can't. So, of course, I included the article in here so that everybody can see this. The difference is my article actually has links directly to contact the people who are involved. So as you're going through here, you'll see that I've included, these are the people involved. That's the dude, Alexandre Barron, research scientist, and, Kelly Wisner. If a country, a major ally or major opponent, is building up capabilities, can our scientists tell us what they're trying to do and what impact of that would be? Asked Kelly Wisner, famous marine cloud brightening advocate, founder and executive director of silverlining.ngo, who advocates for geoengineering research and help persuade Congress to fund NOAA's program. How dangerous is that? How fast and hard do we need to respond? Advocates for geoengineering? Oh yeah, big time. Atlantic Council issue brief, accelerating climate intervention research and improve climate security. Near-term climate risk intervention, a roadmap for research, U.S. research investment, and international scientific cooperation. By the way, for those who don't know, climate intervention, climate engineering, geoengineering, all same thing. Ensuring a safe climate, a national imperative for research in climate intervention and Earth systems predictions. Note to self, if you do not know, to look up for information on geoengineering and what's going on today, you have to use all of the terms. Geoengineering, solar geoengineering, climate engineering, climate intervention. They like to hide behind different interesting words. Hell, climate restoration and climate protection are two of the new terms they're using. These are brand new. Like, I've never heard these in the almost 15 years I've been doing this. Climate restoration, climate protection. Geoengineering gets new names like every 2 to 3 years. You can't make this stuff up. You just can't. So anyway, down here at the bottom, I make my points, and I want to make the points here. And I just highlighted some of the things here so that you can see them yourself. This is the WB-57. Here is the information on its actual abilities at the very bottom right here. Duration 6.5 hours, payload and weather dependent. Useful payload 8,800 pounds, with gross weight takeoff 72,000 pounds. A pilot and the SEO on board. That's not search engine optimization. 60,000 feet and above, payload dependent. So technically, maybe it can go higher. Not exactly sure, but there's the details on that. And then all the way down here at the bottom, this is where I really want to make my points on this. So what one would call geoengineering warning system, another could call a geoengineering verification system. Randomly tossing balloons in the air that rise to 90,000 feet hardly qualifies as a warning system. Now, they say that they, are going to be doing this randomly at random places around the globe, and it's not even a daily thing, okay? For one, that's pretty stupid. The radio sound data we have today It's sporadic and it's only done twice a day. That's every 12 hours whenever we're profiling what's going on in the atmosphere. But suddenly we're going to have a geoengineering early warning system that doesn't even operate daily and only operates out of like Boulder, Colorado, and, you know, Antarctica and random ass places around the world. That doesn't make sense to me. Solar geoengineering, stratospheric aerosol injection, has been proposed with predominantly 5 chemicals: sulfur, aluminum, calcium, titanium, and diamond dust. Now, I know most people are probably looking at me going, Jim, are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. Diamond dust. So, can these balloons detect any chemical? Will they be able to detect aluminum, calcium, titanium, diamond dust? What about all of the other chemicals that are proposed for geoengineering that haven't been made public through peer review process? Will they be able to detect any chemical? Will they make that information available to the public? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. The equipment on board these monitoring systems, balloons, airplanes, seem to focus primarily on sulfur and may not be able to detect the other 4 nanoparticles. The frequency and location of these balloon launches are unacceptable for proper monitoring of stratospheric aerosols. Upon balloon detection of a chemical plume, scrambling a WB-57 plane to rush to that location for further analysis seems unrealistic. The balloons may detect aerosols at 80,000 feet, and the WB-57 may only be able to reach 60,000 feet. My greatest concern is transparency. Will raw data collected by these stratospheric sniffers be made public? I highly doubt it. The only way to build any public trust in science is for these detection devices provide their information in an uncensored open source method in a timely method. The majority of the people who are aware of geoengineering vehemently oppose it, as do I. The irony remains, and this is highly ironic. Geoengineering is legal in the United States. According to the Weather Modification Reporting Act of 1972, the only legal requirement to do geoengineering field tests is filling out a piece of paper, a NOAA Form 17-4. NOAA recently took public comments on updating reporting requirements regarding solar radiation modification. The United States of America is not a party to the Convention for Biological Diversity 2010 ban on geoengineering. The Biden administration authorized federal funding for studying stratospheric aerosol injection, marine cloud brightening, and cirrus cloud thinning. This geoengineering early warning system does not address tropospheric modifications like MCB or CCT. This warning system will not warn us or protect us from any form of geoengineering that is conducted by our government or its agencies. Fact. Just plain fact. So, this geoengineering early warning system is likely just a verification regime for testing SRM at scale. That is where I land my plane, right there. That if you're going to, change the way people report geoengineering, if the Biden administration, the National Science Foundation, NOAA, NASA, and all of these government agencies are on board with testing geoengineering ideas, specifically stratospheric aerosol injection, marine cloud brightening, and cirrus cloud thinning, that they're going to need a way to test if it's effective and how much these aerosol precursors are spreading. I like it, Stonely. I like it. It's a smoke screen, man. It's a smoke screen, he says. Love it. Love it. Exactly. That's exactly my point. That in order to test that smoke screen that they're putting between us, the taxpayers, and the sun, they're going to need sensors to test that too. So is this an early warning system, or is this actually a way for them to validate that they're blocking just enough sunlight, that they're putting the chemicals up there, the chemicals are going where they think they're gonna go? That remains to be seen. So on that note, that's why Sandia National Laboratories is involved, because the tool that Dr. Swiler created with his colleagues Diana Bull and Kara Peterson is part of a program called Caldera. You can't make this stuff up. Pronounced caldera, the word for a crater formed from a volcanic eruption. I'm not kidding. Caldera Grand Challenge, climate impact, determining etiology through pathways. This is about tracking where the chemicals went, tools to discover and represent pathways, and analysis establish pathways, robustness to changing conditions, contributing ranking of sources to specific impacts using pathways, attribution of source characteristics using inverse optimization methods, beginning to end attribution in the climate system, tracing evolving chains of physical processes to enable attribution of climate impacts from a localized source. I'm going to translate that for you. I know it's super sciencey. Tracing chemtrails from geoengineering planes to their original source, localized source. Tracing the chemicals to their source. Where did they come from? Who farted in the sky? Who's blocking the sun? Where, when, and why? This is Sandia National Laboratories' role in all of this. And for those who don't know who Ken Caldera is, we'll just go there real quick. That's this guy. That's this guy right here. Who's funding geoengineering research? Ken Caldera, one of the top researchers on the planet on this. Yes, his name is literally got an I right here, okay? Just being serious, you know, all jokes aside. Ken Caldera and David Keith, the top two geoengineers on the planet. Who's paying for it? All of it's right here. Open Philanthropy, George Soros, Bill Gates with Gates Ventures, and FISER, the Fund for Innovative Climate Engineering Research. SRMGI, Solar Radiation Management Governance Initiative. The Silver Lining Project, as you can see right there. Silver lining is related to MCB, marine cloud brightening. All of this stuff around here is related back to Silver Lining, Cornell Climate Engineering, GeoMIP. These are the modeling arms of this. The National Science Foundation, Harvard Solar Geoengineering Research Program. The list goes on and on. You know, over here we have China, Germany, and what is DFG? I'm forgetting. That's also German. But anyway, FCEA, Forum for Climate Engineering Assessment. There's your map of people involved, the massive organizations behind geoengineering research and deployment. Okay, so when you take this into account, when you take into account that right now Ken Caldera is working with Bill Gates on contrails.org to geoengineer the planet, that right now we can drastically cut aviation's climate impact by redirecting some of the planes, because that's solar radiation management. But the chemtrails, the cirrus clouds they make, they trap radiation at the ground. That's what cirrus cloud thinning is about. Is it about making less warming, more cooling contrails? Don't believe me? Look at their map. When you look at their map, you can see right here on the side, it will say, we can't explore. Maybe I went a little too hard. Cooling contrails, warming contrails. That's a lot of warming right there. And there's all the planes flying. Get out of my face. And who's behind this? Reviate. When you look into Reviate and who's behind it, it's Breakthrough Technologies. And brought to you by Breakthrough Energy. And who's Breakthrough Energy? Our team. Wait for it. You're never going to believe it. Ken Caldera, the geoengineer. Okay? Right here. That is Ken Caldera, senior scientist working on going out there and controlling them chemtrails. You saw it yourself. Reviate by Breakthrough Energy, Contrails.org, and their Contrail Explorer map. This is way bigger than anybody wants to understand. They want to just say, well, look, all the clouds I'm seeing that are coming out of these planes, it's all pumps and pipes. It's all geoengineering. Contrails are real. Contrails are made by planes. They are made by jet exhaust. That jet exhaust has been polluting the stratosphere for a very long time. They're now trying to not only take advantage. They did pay big bucks for that domain, contrails.org. I don't think Bill Gates is really that concerned about it, Dominic, like for real. But what's up, Xander? Love you, brother. God, all the good people in the chat today. Love you, mean it. So the big picture is this. When you look at it as in totality, we have 40 million flights a day polluting the stratosphere past 2 decades. We're just going to cut it off there. 20 years of planes farting in the stratosphere. Now they're going to suddenly send up some balloons and take an inventory. Why haven't you done this already? I mean, I thought this was climate science. I thought climate change was your big damn deal. But we don't know. The answer is simple. We don't know. That's why I proposed a sensor network back in 2015. Hell, back in 2011, was to get these numbers. So that is why, I am really trying very hard and crossing my T's and praying that I do have the opportunity to work with the RFK team, because currently we are sitting at number 1 on the Maha forum. Don't believe me? I'm up to 1,139 votes. I want everybody to know I greatly appreciate everybody who voted for me. I'm extremely flattered by all of the comments that I'm seeing. Thank you so much to everybody who took the time to go there. You can go and if you haven't voted yet, you can go there just simply by going to climateviewer.com/Maha, climateviewer.com/MAHA. And you can see right here, if we go to this and we click on hot, who's the hottest of them all? James Franklin Lee Jr. with 7.5 thousand views on here and 1,139 votes. Renette Senham, 658 votes. Shout out to Renette. And then Dane Wiggenow, 565 votes. You know what? I hope Dane actually makes it in, because it'd be great. We can work together. That'd be interesting. Donald Trump Jr. If you just go by votes, I'm beating Donald Trump Jr. I mean, just barely at this point, but let's be real. It's pretty freaking epic, I'm pretty freaking stoked about that. So it is honestly, it's my hope that this is the real deal, that I will be able to bring this information, to bring all of the, information that I've gathered over the last 15 years and put it to work, to put these government agencies on notice to do all of the actual FOIA requests to get the information so that we can get the straight answer about what the hell is going on up in our skies. Who's doing what, when, where, and why. The basics. My firewall just went off. Usually not a good sign. Let's just block that. And we'll block that. And we'll block that. Okay. But yeah, pretty freaking stoked about those numbers. God, I really appreciate everybody who's taking the time to go out there and vote, and I really appreciate everybody who said extremely nice. Too flattered. 75 replies of people, really saying nice stuff. Yes, curious, Georgia. I said Dane wigging out. The sky is falling. The biosphere is dying. CO2-based global warming is real. I don't believe 90% of the crap that Dane Wigington believes, but I do value the fact that he has brought way more attention to this topic than I ever could. So it will never, ever discount Dane's role in bringing attention to this very important topic. And for that, he should be applauded. As far as the science end of it goes, we have a lot we disagree on. We have our personal grievances, but at the end of the day, same team. So if I were to ever to get the opportunity to work with Robert Kennedy on cleaning up the skies, and I meet Dane in a hallway, I will shake his hand and I'll say, let's work together. Because at the end of the day, this is about making America healthy again. Make our skies blue again. I want that. I have devoted my life to this. I will devote the rest of my life to this. Why? Because for my two daughters and their children and their children and your children, it matters. So, geoengineering, early warning system, or geoengineering verification system? Is it to warn us if China or Russia tries to geoengineer over our, continental United States, as the CIA asked Dr. Alan Robach? Would we know if somebody's geoengineering? And he said, I think so. But at the same time, he thought that the CIA guys were asking if we were geoengineering over another country, would they know? Which would be an NMOD violation, which could actually lead to armed conflict. This is serious stuff we're playing with now. And I'm glad at least that superficially the New York Times article seems to confirm that even the geoengineering scientific community is starting to recognize that they're playing with fire, and that if they don't get ahead of this, this could get out of hand real quickly. Ask Dr. Robert Oppenheimer about that. We thought that we would save more lives than we took by creating the bomb. And the same people are saying the same thing when it comes to geoengineering. Yes, geoengineering, stratospheric aerosol injection with sulfur will kill many tens of thousands of people, David Keith said in 2013. But it's our hope that many more people would be saved. I don't think one person being saved by geoengineering is worth killing 10,000 people at a minimum. And again, 89.33 repeating percent of statistics are made up on the spot. So whenever I hear a geoengineer saying, I know what I'm going to do will kill X amount of people, that should be enough for this to be a no-fly zone. This should not be a thing. Geoengineering should be illegal. Period. End of story. And I'm gonna stay right there. And anytime I engage with these geoengineering scientists, they try to keep convincing me that we just want to, research it in case we need it. But that end case is coming up very quickly, because very quickly we're going to be in a place where the Agenda 2030 rolls out, and we will be seeing the climate clocks tick down. And as David Keith and his cohorts have already said, that the geoengineering climate clock countdown to 2030, yes, when this clock reaches zero, geoengineering is going to be the thing. Don't believe me? Go to climateclock.world. We have 4 years, 222 days, which will end on June 2029, just in time for Agenda 2030. And what have we seen recently? NOAA revising the reporting requirements for geoengineering over America. ICANN finding, that they're building this system. The New York Times responding saying, yeah, we're just building a geoengineering detection system. David Keith saying, oh, we're just going to start with small geoengineering. Don't believe me? They're already geoengineering. Luke Eisman, Andrew Song make sunsets. But as David Keith said, suggest that full-scale deployment would take several hundred specifically designed aircraft to loft chemicals into the stratosphere at the equator, but subscale deployment could be done near the poles with as few as 15 business jets, like this G600. 15 private jets to geoengineer the planet. Using assumptions confirmed with Gulfstream, we estimate that any of its G500, 600 aircraft could loft about 10 kilotons of material, probably means sulfur, per year to 15.5 kilometers. If highly mass efficient CS2 were used, a fleet of no more than 15 aircraft could carry up 100 kilotons of sulfur a year. That's right. 15 aircraft, 100 kilotons of sulfur per year. If you think these dudes are joking around, then you've got your head up your you-know-what. I take this stuff very seriously because these people take this stuff very seriously. And if you think that they're just worried about cow farts and removing CO2, the only carbon they're trying to get rid of is you. We're going into a grand solar minimum. The Earth is already going to cool off. This is already predicted to start 2035 through 2052. The Earth's magnetic field should reduce up to as much as 70%. We will see at least a minimum of 1 degree Celsius cooling worldwide. Hell, it's already colder than a witch's tit in a brass bra in January here in Sumter, South Carolina. But maybe that's just, those December highs and lows that we get. But if I were a betting man, I would say we're on our track to 2030. The clock is ticking down. And the closer we get to 2030, the closer we'll get to them admitting all of this right out in the open. So please, if you've enjoyed this content, if you've learned anything from this, please share the Substack article. It's on climateviewer.substack.com. Should be in the details of this video. Please share the video. Give it a like, thumbs up. Leave me a comment. So please subscribe if you haven't already. I do have a Rumble channel. If you guys don't, you never know with Google. You really don't. So YouTube, any moment, could just delete the channel. Make sure you get one of those backup channels. So head over to connect.climateviewer.com. Check out the BitChute Rumble Odyssey and get an alternative. Follow me on X. I'm also streaming live on X at ClimateViewer on all the things. Please just, read this information, go through it with a fine-tooth comb. Tell me where I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, please let me know. I want to be the first to know. I will be honest about anything that you can point my way where I'm wrong. But my gut has been right 98.9% of the time over the last 15 years. That's why you guys have put your trust in me. And that's why I've, maintained the respect that I've had over these years. This isn't about a popularity contest. This isn't about making a bunch of money off of scaring people with clickbait titles. This is about the truth. So I appreciate everybody who's tuned in and stayed with me through this entire video, because you are a part of that, 1% that actually cares enough to pay attention to this topic and warn others. So thank you so much to everybody who supported me over the years. Thank you to everybody who voted on the Mile High forums, and thank you to everybody who shares this video. And remember, I did include the phone numbers and email addresses of the individuals who are involved in this geoengineering early warning system. I ask that everybody in this, the sound of my voice, be respectful. If you contact these people, they are humans. They are people just like you. They may be misguided. You may not agree with what they're doing, but I implore that you remember at all times to attack ideas, not people. Love you, mean it, and see you guys on the next one. And the next one will probably be in the new year. I am very rapidly approaching a workable new version of ClimateViewer 3D. I look forward to finally being able to create maps again. I miss maps so bad. So I will be working on ClimateViewer 3D, and hopefully in the very near future, we're going to be able to look at some real-time mapping again. And for all of the people who posted hundreds of freaking times that my brother, Mike Morales, rest in peace, they're like, when are you going to do Mike Morales? I'll do him proud just as soon as I get that map up and running. So that's what I'm going to be working on. And until then, love you, mean it. If this video resonates with you, leave me a comment, because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Yeah! Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.